Hey everybody, what is up? Good to see you. It's Angie here, back with another vlog, a vlog from Angie Land. So today's topics, there's a couple different topics I want to kind of talk about today. One is about accepting yourself and kind of allowing yourself to follow a purpose in life. And then the second topic kind of flows from that, and it's about how the world sees and defines disorders. Now, I don't get into like technical details or philosophical details of anything in my vlogs. I just basically have these like elaborate thoughts, and I like talking about them. So, nothing technical, nothing statistical or anything like that. Just my thoughts, and I want to get them out there. And you can agree or you can disagree. One thing I do want to note, that if you disagree or if you don't even like my videos, or if you think they're worthless or stupid, you're entitled to your opinion, but at least be nice. I also wanted to address an earlier video that I released last week where I cried, and there's a lot of subject matter in that video that I couldn't really talk about. It was like only a 5-minute video. It was a rant, but there's a lot of subject matter behind it. And so if you don't realize that, then you're going to make a quick judgment to what I was saying. And I did receive kind of a nasty comment. The person must have deleted it. They said that I don't know the first thing that the poor kids with autism go through, and I'm just looking for a victim mentality. Or that I have a victim mentality, sorry. You know what? More power to you if that's what you think. You must think you've met me before, but if you did know me, you'd know that I am in no way a victim. I'm in no way do I want to be a victim. No, I'm not a victim. I've been through things. Yes. I've worked through my differences, and I've come to learn about myself and love myself. And I've learned a lot about autism and autism spectrum disorders, and a lot of what I went through as a child, in my young adulthood, and in adulthood fits that description. I've also had mental health and medical professionals tell me I was on the autism spectrum. I've engaged in many groups online and in real life, in college and stuff, with people who are on the autism spectrum and who have Asperger's, with whom I've made very good friends. And I've realized that, yes, I am very much like them, and we have a lot in common, even though we are all unique. If you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. It truly is a giant rainbow of a spectrum, huge. And that's where I believe that, it just needs to be redefined. Autism itself is not a medical disorder. Yeah, people have medical disorders that get labeled as having autism. That's not what I'm talking about. And that's why I think autism needs to be redefined, because autism simply means within oneself, or in another language, I forget which one, it means in his or her own time. So it's by definition not a medical thing, but doctors and stuff have owned it for certain diagnoses and used it as a label and made it into something ugly and awful and terrible. And I agree, there's seizures, there's meltdowns, which I have experienced, and they're not fun. And yes, they are a medical problem. But don't blame the autism. Don't make autism the bad guy. Okay? That's all I'm trying to say. And when we go online and we see videos of parents like, see, this is how I have to deal with my kid with autism, and this is what I do for them, and this is great. That's okay as a parent to share that information with other parents who go through it. That's awesome. I support that. That's great. But, there's got to be privacy settings for groups like that where you share stuff like that, because no kid wants to go through and see how much their parents and family members struggle with something that has to do with them. And that's all I was trying to say in that video. Now, the person that left the nasty comment, it's the internet, I get it. People are going to say crappy things, and they probably will never see this video. And if they do, they probably will never understand where I'm coming from. And unfortunately, there's so many parents of people with autism that they don't see it. They see a seemingly, notice I said seemingly functional person on this video who can talk and kind of form sentences together, but they don't know what's on the inside of me. And they judge, and they say, well, my child will never be like you, or you're not like my child suffers like this. And on that note, don't say your child never will, or they can't. They can, just in their own time and their very own way. Their very own unique way. Screw what the doctors say. If you believe in your child, they're going to be able to do anything. So I know I've gotten off on a couple tangents. To the person that said I'm a victim, and screw that. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim of anything. I've put up with a lot of, people saying negative things, people not understanding me, and it's just been a lot of misunderstanding. And there is a lot of misunderstanding in the world, and people are going to be gross and rude and hateful, and I'm sorry if you didn't read the description on that video where I was crying and everything, and I didn't get to say everything I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it. Read the description. It explains it a little better. Watch the whole video, read the description, try to think about, what it's really about. Don't just, people do that online. They're quick to react, and, they read the title, or they see a little clip of the video, and then they just judge what it's all about. No, sit and think on it for a while. Just sit quietly and think about what you saw or what you read and what, and watch the whole video before you make a judgment too. And I realize in the video where I cried, I talked about a knee-jerk response to something I saw on Facebook about autism, and I should have taken my own advice about that. Just really take it in, not react, sit and think about it. People aren't going to have the same opinions as me, and they're not going to see things the same. Well, they're not going to see things the same way I see them, and I'm not going to see things the same way they see them. That's the plight of an autistic person. We see things differently, very differently in the world. So that's my spiel about that one. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but continuing on with the rest of my vlog for today. Again, if you haven't seen my vlogs before, yes, I do read. From my thoughts, I write them down succinctly, and then I read from them, because I don't always, as you've probably seen over the last 10 minutes, I don't get my thought out articulately. It seems like it's a whole thought, but it's not how I wanted to present it. So I write it down first, and then I read it. So here we go. So your purpose in life, the good old purpose in life thing that people, all of us, tend to wrestle with from time to time. Your purpose in life is not what other people tell you it is. You go through life thinking everything has to be a certain way. Well, how are you ever going to be yourself thinking like that? You know, we think we reach a certain age, we have to go to college, or we reach a certain age, we have to buy a car. We reach a certain age, we have to get married. We reach a certain age, we have to buy a house, and then it has to be a certain house in a certain neighborhood with, you know, this, and this, and this, and everything has to be a particular way. Everything has to be the same way. That's not true. It's not true at all. You don't have to be like anyone else, and you don't have to follow anyone else's path. How are you going to be you if you put all these restrictions and limits on yourself? My brother, he doesn't drive. He doesn't want to drive, and he's okay with that. He's happy in his life. His priorities have to do with who he is and who he wants to be and what he contributes to the world. And he does contribute a lot. He does what he loves, and he contributes. And he's himself. He doesn't follow any specific recipe on how to be a successful adult or an successful human being. See, this is what I mean. A successful human being. So how are you ever going to be yourself? Going through life thinking that everything has to be a certain way. You can't, because we're all designed to be different from one another. We're all one. We're all the same in that we are all one with the universe, but we're all different. I mean, look at the car I'm sitting in. Are any two parts the same? Well, yeah, the knobs on the stereo, but even those aren't the same. They do different things. We're all meant for a different thing. And no one can tell you what you're meant for. Only you know that. People think they know what other people are meant for, but only you know your purpose deep down. So think on it. Think about your purpose. And that brings me into, we started out talking about the video I made about autism. And then we talked about purpose. And now I want to move on to disorders, which, like autism spectrum disorders, a lot of mental health disorders all follow under the neurodivergent umbrella. And if you don't know what that means, go ahead and look it up. I think I have, or I will make another vlog about what neurodiversity is, if you don't know what it is already. And so autism and other mental health disorders fall under neurodiversity. And so what things do people attribute to a disorder? What things do people label as disorder? I wrote down being too sensitive, can't multitask, and these are just examples. Can't climb a tree when you're a fish. Being too sensitive. Why is there a "too" before it? Being sensitive is, in my mind, it's a superpower. I mean, being able to empathize and realize what's going on in the world, what's going around you, and have a reaction to it based on what you know needs to change. There's nothing "too" about it. It's just you're sensitive, and that's amazing. That's a good thing. And it's okay to cry. Sorry about my cough. I have this cough. It's just, I've always had it. Sometimes people think I'm laughing when it happens, but I'm not laughing. It's like a little tickle in the throat or something. And can't multitask. Heaney. Multitasking is overrated. It really is. What are you rushing for? Come on, what are you rushing for? You gotta, if you want things to be made, for example, with care, if you want things to be done with caution and care, and you want things to go right, and you want things to go smooth, you don't want accidents to happen, why rush it? Multitasking, fine, that's great if you can multitask, but if you can't, who cares? The better products come out when you take your time with it, when you put a little love and care into it. That makes for a better product, or a better service, or a better whatever. So if you can't multitask, that's okay. That means you put a lot of care into what you're doing, which is better anyway. Another thing that kind of relates is people that can't eat certain things. I can't eat this, I can't eat that. Why is that a disorder? It's kind of true. The human body wasn't meant to process and digest certain things. So when someone can't eat something, why call it a disorder? I just say their body's figured out, hey, this particular food wasn't meant to be in me. So I think it's just a person, instead of labeling something as a disorder, why don't we see it as, hey, this person's got it figured out. There's something wrong with society, not them. There's something we need to change in our world, not with the person. And there are a lot of things that cause autistics and other neurodivergents to not be able to do things, and I'm using air quotes, or can't do this, or can't do that. Some negative thinkers even go so far as to say, like I said before, my autistic child will never be able to do this, or my child with autism can't do this or that. And whether one has autism, is neurodivergent, has a disorder, or any other kind of condition that labels a person as can't, or will never, can't be happy, can't multitask, can't eat dairy, can't function in crowded spaces or around loud noises. These are very valid things, by the way. Does this say something about them as a person and their abilities? Or does this say something about society and how it needs to be fixed? Don't just fix the person. Fix the problem. And most often the problem has nothing to do with the person themselves. I get it. There are medical conditions. There are conditions that, need to be fixed and dealt with. But we neurodivergents and others have mastered the ability to know what is wrong with society, with our environment, with our worlds. Why not try to fix it instead of us? Instead of giving a depressed person pills that just numb them and cause weight problems or hormonal problems or whatever kind of problems, why not try to fix the actual things in society, in our world, that cause our serotonin levels to be all whack, or our dopamine, or whatever? Why not try to fix the thing that causes us to appear like we're screwed up, so to speak? Instead of restraining a person with autism who is having an anxiety attack or a meltdown, fix your energy, your reaction, the external environment, and what's most important, however hard it is, don't show the effect of the autistic person's behavior while having an attack, episode, or meltdown. Don't show the effect of it on you to the person. It makes it worse. And I wrote that in all caps. I don't know if you can see. It makes it worse. Try to remember, it's not that we are broken. Our gift doesn't make us broken. Try to realize what we are trying to tell you about how the world needs to be changed. The environment, society, etc. You know, there's always a middle ground with everything. I'm just trying to say, try to give another picture, another view of it, another view of things. Instead of viewing a person as broken, or there's something wrong with them, or there's a chemical imbalance in their brain or whatever, let's fix our world, our society, and, you know, fix outward problems first. And no, that's not, somebody might argue that's a victim mentality, but it's really not. It's just saying that we're born into the world we're given, and if there's something wrong with it, and if we have signs and signals that there's something wrong with it from within ourselves, why not try to fix it? Don't numb the person. Fix the external problem. And this is just a side note that I wrote down. It's not really a side note. It relates. But there are, however, diseases and disorders that I do think need to be fixed. And that is racism and bigotry. It is alive and well and has everything to do with the racist or bigoted person's mental health and part of who they are as a person. You know, being a quiet person, introverted, really quiet, we do a lot of observing. Inadvertent observing. You know, it's not like we go around stalking people. We're just really quiet, and so we pick up on a lot more in the world that extroverted people, or people that talk a lot, or even people that talk a medium amount, don't pick up on. And what I've realized is that the people that have let hate take over their hearts and refuse to listen to where people come from, refuse to listen to where people's pain comes from, whether it be or the past or present, because racism is still alive and well today. Just because you don't see it or are affected by it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because it does. People with hate in their heart, and that they just don't want to change their mindset, I think that's a disorder. That's a disease. And that's what we need to work on fixing in people, is the hate and the bigotry and the racism and the refusal to listen to people's pain. Because they just don't want to deal with it, but you should. You should care what the next guy is going through. People say it's not my problem. It is your problem. You know, you may not have done all the hateful things and the racist things and the bigoted things. Your people did. The history of your people did. And that carries through the DNA. And the pain that today's minorities go through, if they don't go through it firsthand, their parents have, their grandparents, their friends, their aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, and all their ancestors, they went through it. And that pain carries in through your DNA, through the generations. So if you would rather disregard and stomp on somebody's pain rather than wanting to deal with it and be a better person and be a nice person, that's a disease. I'm sorry, but that's a disease. If you can't be a kind, loving, thoughtful person, at least wanting to listen to the other person without judgment, if you can't do that, there's something wrong with you. And that should require medication. Not, because I have a reaction to something that's wrong with the world, whether it's in the environment, traffic, noises, food. If I have a reaction to something like that, that means there's something wrong with the food, or with the too many cars on the road. There's something wrong with the pollution in the air. There's not something wrong with me. But if I have a problem changing my heart to love other people, that definitely has everything to do with me. So that's what I call a disorder. This is all my take on what constitutes a disorder. And yes, I believe what we call a disorder needs to be heavily redefined. What we call autism needs to be definitely redefined, because the literal definition of autism in many cultures is within one's own time and space, within oneself. And being within oneself isn't a bad thing. And, you know, all the other complications that come with it, the anxiety, the meltdowns, and I'm talking about autism, the meltdowns and the episodes and the behaviors. Yeah, come up with methods to help alleviate that from the person. But don't come at it from the angle of seeing autism as the big bad guy, an inherent part of who the person is. Don't look at it as that's the bad guy. I think you'll be able to help the person with autism better if you, A, listen to other people with similar experiences, with similar levels of functioning or different levels of functioning, but they've been through the same types of experiences. And look at it with different eyes. And then you can help. It can help you better, just being able to see it that way, to be able to see it differently. So, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy my videos. Thank you for watching. If you don't, that's okay too. Move along. Try not to be rude. And I will try to do the same. I'm Angie. I'm from Angie and Haley Present. My partner and I have our own YouTube channel about our lives together and other important issues we talk about, and also pop culture and all kinds of fun things. It's a little less heavy than my own personal channel. We try to keep things upbeat and fun and light-hearted and happy. So go ahead and head on over there and give us a thumbs up and a like and a subscribe. And we hope you enjoy that channel as well. Again, I welcome positive comments, happy comments, constructive comments. Try not to comment if you're feeling hateful, because there's too much of that on the internet. There's just way too much of that all over the internet. Let's try to lift each other up and be happy. All right. Thank you for watching. Bye.